Good evening, everyone, and welcome to round number 9 of STB Tier 3, which this week brings us to the wonderful Canadian Grand Prix circuit. Also, ignore the slightly lower than patch voice. You can blame a cold for that one, and that is why it sounds a little bit off kilter. That's not going to put off too much as such, but not detract away from that. We We're at one of probably Formula One's other well-known greatest venues, well known for probably one of the greatest races back in 2011. One that ranks very high up in a lot of people's lists for the amount of delays and the changes that came from the changes that came from that in terms of time limits to Grand Prix in real life, and then also the amount of weather delay. Well, no, this is why it does. It was just stopped just for the fact of say the weather just deciding it wasn't going to cooperate. Who is that Aston Martin who's worst on track? Actually, is that who I think it is? I think it is. I can find him on my list. Yes, it is. It is indeed. Looks like BKS is going to be taking us around a lap time of this circuit. The first man on track, first driver on track. Apparently, if this is who I think it is, and I think it's if this is who I think it is, then he's a big name round here in STB folklore. So no pressure on that front. If this is who I think, if you are who you are who I think you are. But making his debut in what I think is probably a very long time for him anyway. Having a little bit of trouble there with the hairpin. It's not called I call that Rolex. It's just called the hairpin, but I call that the Rolex hairpin because they named down the bottom banner. So there. Two DRS zones around here. Well, three DRS zones actually. As we're about to get on board with the lap. Got to be careful with not invalidating as you head round to starting a lap round. So you go round to the final corner around turn 13. Wall of Champions, one of the most well-known corners on any F1 circuit. Towards turns 1 and 2, they come on you very quickly. The left into the right. Got to get good exits coming off here. Any sliding can cost you as you head in towards turn number 3 and quickly into turn number 4. Another place where you can very easily invalidate if you are not careful. So you head through in towards turn 5, through the kink, and into turn 5, which then takes you to turn 6 and to turn 7. Head down to where one of the other DRS zones is going to be on the track, the second of 3, now into 8 and 9. So one driver getting those lines just right as they head through towards which is turn 10 complex. The Rolex hairpin. Of course, the purple sector 1 being the first car to set a lap time. Now down the casino straight through the kink at 11. Heading down towards the final couple of corners, which make up again 12 and 13. So through 12, you can cut this first part, but not the second part. As you head through past the World Champions, very clean lap there, tidy lap from KS. It's a 1:11.1 from the Aston Martin driver. There's your benchmark. As Achilles goes into seconds on a 1:14.3. Had a bit of a rough time last time out in the race. Struggled a little bit there, did Kaylee, so hopefully wanting to do a little bit better next time around. So we'll see who is next up. A returning name actually. Haven't seen him since Monaco actually, in terms of when I first started doing commentary for this particular venue. In terms of this, Krakidis, the Greek, he is back after a few races of a hiatus, so it's good to see Red Bull driver back. Obviously, he was very quick in Monaco. Was a little bit unfortunate with the disconnect. I believe it was a power outage that cost him that one, and he was not able to reconnect. Fortunate there for him in this case, as I don't think we've seen him again for a few races since. So this is his first race back. So hopefully there's not too much rust for the Greek driver as he heads round on his first lap. But it's a tidy first effort. not too slow, not too fast through there as he heads through. It's going to be quickest actually. It's going to be 10.1. So he's come back with a bang. He's decided I've not raced for a while. Let me show you how it's done. Hopefully he carries on with that form. We'll have to see. As Pierre, I think that's not as Keeson goes into second on his home circuit. Hopefully the home crowd will be cheering on not just Keeson but the Racer Boy as well. The two home drivers in the Alpine and in the Williams, of course, as Jamal comes through, is where he has a little bit of a moment, and there's your first victim of the World Champions. As his teammate then heads round the final corner as well to start on a lap, but that's unfortunate there. Saint has invalidated the Spaniard, so he will be going around again, unfortunately. We'll go both Maldi then in that case, because Maldi is going to be just coming through starting a lap, obviously having just seen his teammate crash right in front of him, and potentially just seen his life fly. He's league racing. His car flashed before his eyes there, potentially, because that could have quite easily taken out the other RB as well. So a lot of work to do for Jam on the race, but as I say, not impossible around here. 3 DRS zones, of course, which makes overtaking a little bit easier, but does mean if you end up being caught at the front of one of those trains with no DRS in front of you, that is going to be a fun time trying to pull away from that one with 3 DRS zones. We've seen how that was like in Austria, of course, last week. That one definitely proved why it is a difficult and Herculean effort to get away. And if you can get yourself in a little breakaway group, it's actually a lot more helpful in terms of making that work. As got a couple of other cars on track as well. As Maldi comes through, taking a line of shorter resistance towards the line, and it's going to be a 10.1. Marginally slower than Krakus, by that can't be much. 12 thousandths. Pierre then is now improved on his time. He has done a 1 minute 10.2. He's now into third. We'll see where Anvi is. Anvi's in sector 2. So the Turkish driver on his first gambit around this circuit, which is surrounded, of course, by the St. Lawrence River, created on a man-made island, of course, this race circuit, and obviously this is named after one of Canada's most well-known F1 drivers, that being, of course, the late and obviously great. What I was thinking that Gilles Villeneuve, I believe, the son, of course, being Jacques Villeneuve today. One with rather outspoken views on certain things, but we will not go into that. Is SMX Lazar goes into 7th. McLaren driver on his debut as well. Not seen him for this before, so we'll have to see how the McLaren driver gets on in his first race. We'll go on board. I think Prillo is going to be the last one to set a lap time. He's about to come across the line, actually, the Italian. A 1 minute 12.1, so he's currently in 8th position at that first lap time. There's Racer Boy and the other Alpine, gathering the strength and cheers from the home crowd to perhaps give him some extra horsepower as he heads round on his lap. I know it's not a real thing, but you can take into that what you wish, of course. But, yeah. Anyway, Racer Boy sector 1, it is a purple as he's heading through, I believe, into the second of the 2 DRS zones, I believe. I'm just checking exactly where he currently is in F1. You see where he's in the circuit. He's currently at 8 and 9 at the moment, just gone through. He's heading down towards the turn 10 complex at the end of sector 2 split. 41.5, so another purple sector. Obviously some of these purple sectors can be taken as not exactly purple sectors, as has been proven by previous F1 games not always being the most accurate when it comes to their timings, but yet again, it is a Cody's game. You get exactly what you expect from it sometimes. As LDL Racer Boy comes towards the finish line, the Canadian on home turf, a 1:10.205, so it's very crowded at the top there. So obviously we've seen that a few of the drivers did get themselves into a few squabbles last week in Austria. There was some potential words passed on after that race between a few of the drivers. Hopefully there will be less hostilities this week, as I think Charlie in the Ferraris just popped themselves into 13th, a 1:12.9. It's quick lap times around here, which means you're probably going to get about, I think, 4 laps, maybe, if you've got enough time on the board around here as he's coming towards. I believe that's 12 and 13. Not looking not to be caught out as Alonso comes through the final corner with a car right behind him for slipstream. Not sure exactly who that one was. I think this car is starting on a lap, so not able to take advantage of it. I believe that is KS, who I think has backed out. So I think KS maybe wasn't. You know, he's invalidated. That's why he must have been validated on turn 1. So that's unfortunate. Zazar. Validate himself. We're going to see what Pierre's currently doing at the moment. He's currently, that was a interesting, I think that must have been, as you say, Pierre. Whoa, that was very close. That I think was that's the only remaining RB in the lobby. That was Maldi, who's obviously made a mistake, and let's just say that very nearly caught Pierre out, the Frenchman in the Williams, who was very nearly seeing a rear diffuser full of Visa Cash Up RB right there. Not the most ideal of sights. Not something you really want to see, of course. But yeah, does get away with it, but as we're now heading through in towards Sector 3, and once again heading towards down the Casino Straight and into 12 and into 13, the Wall of Champions, or as it's known around here, the Quebec Wall. Obviously, quite near, well, the French-speaking part, as Pierre does a 1 at 10.116. Again, that's even closer at the top. 31,000s, 43,000s, 89,000s. The top 4 covered by less than a tenth of a second. So all incredibly close when it comes to that. I think Maldi might well have been going again. Yes, he is going again. So Maldi currently in 3rd position at the moment. Try to get it. That's Keeson. That's 2,000ths of a second. That gap's now even smaller at the top. The Canadian also drawing off the home crowds and putting himself into P2, marginally slower than his teammate by 2,000ths of a second between the top 2. Let's see if Maldi can put himself in amongst those that front row there and perhaps break up that. As Anvi then does a 1:10.113, 3,000ths of a second. That's what. That's incredible. As then Cricket does a 1:10.0, then throwing them all at the water by about a tenth, on just under half a tenth there, I believe, is the gap there. What can Maldi add to that top lot, as it's all incredibly congested at the top of that table at the moment? As see what else is going on at the moment is Maldi, as he comes out of the final couple of corners coming out of Quebec Wall, turn 13, and it's going to be a 1:10.0. That is incredible. How close that is. Top 5, 73,000 covers those. It's 1/10 to P6. That's incredibly small gaps. I mean, around here I can fully see where that is entirely possible. As I think Charlie is going into the pit lane, so no further action on that lap. Athletic Saint struggling a little bit with track limits once again. Doesn't seem to. He's got a time of 1:12.6 at the moment. 4.5 minutes left, and I think he invalidated on the final corner, which is invalidated as the next lap as well. So the Spaniard, much like Austria last week, he's not having the most amount of fun. Track limits seem to be getting the better of him at the moment, which is costing a little bit of issues there. But he is the only one on circuit, I believe. He's probably going to be coming in because, yeah, I can't imagine you should look for too many laps because you don't want to lose too much time. Because if we're going to sort of real life sort of maths, I mean, extra fuel costing you like extra tenths of a second. Those extra tenths of a second matter, of course, in terms of if it's real life. And I don't know how much it really matters when it comes to the game, of course. When it comes to that. Hearing nothing, I do apologise. That's purely just because my nose is. Let's just say that much. I can probably see one side of my nose, but the other side is completely blocked, which is fun. Love this time of year. As who's out first again? I think it's KS who was out first. Currently in position number 8 with his last gambit. of lap time, a 1 minute 11.1. As we've now got quite a few cars coming out for a few laps, maybe fueled up for more than one perhaps. Could perhaps be the case here, as we're coming into the business end of this short qualifying format. 35 laps of racing ahead afterwards to look forward to, because trust me, you're not going to want to miss what may well be coming next in this one, because this track can, as it's proven in real life and in commentary from what I've seen before, can throw up some great racing from past games. So ZKS goes off on his lap, I think. Well, could be his final lap in the session, unless he has 2 laps of fuel on board that car, obviously. A little bit of a slide going through there, could potentially cost him a little bit of time back in trying to slide out. Nope, it's 28,000 of a second improvement. It is a personal best only, though. I think that may well be cost of that slide. Looks like he might be running a little bit lower downforce, because he seems to be... The back end of that car is, let's just say, a little bit twitchy in terms of how it is. And it looks like he's just done the invalidate. He's just invalidated, so yeah. Who was next? I think it was Lazar. I'm not sure the best way of pronouncing that, unfortunately. So if you're watching, do feel free to sort of chime in, sort of saying that's actually said. And he's also invalidated in exactly the same place. To be honest, I seem to have a bad habit of commentator cursing everyone I've gone on board with so far. Wonder who's next and who wants to be the next person. Looks like we're going to go on board with Keesing, who's currently on his flying lap, 0.2 of a second improvement for him. That would see him go to the top provisionally at the moment, I do believe. It wouldn't be by much, but he would get to the top. Maldi is starting on a lap as well. The business end of the grid is on their flying laps. Almost everyone is there, apart from Keel, who's in the pits. On 12.8. Not a bad effort from Keel, considering the struggles from some other tracks for the Haas driver. Keeson does a 1 minute 9.7. So, find a little bit more time in that final sector. Let's see who is going to be next. Looks like it is only in sector 1, not on the improvement there. Charlie. Eventually, could that be an he's on an out lap, so I think it is going to be Charlie, who's 0.2 down on his final second sector split. Heading into sector 3, the Ferrari driver. And let's see how this shapes up for the Maranello based team here. And let's see, is he going to be improvements for him as he comes across the line? And it's going to be no improvements. P11 is best seen. Excuse me. Yeah, that's also going to be a thing as well, which is fun. We'll go on board as a Keezer who's next in lap. I think it's Pierre actually, so Pierre will be next to cross the start finish line for the final time, I do suspect, in this qualifying session. 19 seconds left on the clock. Pierre goes across the line. It is 1 minute 9.8, marginally slower than his teammate. And I believe he had a crash from McLaren. So yeah, don't know what's happened there. I'm not sure what the case is. Yeah. And currently still on his flying lap. He's about 0.2 of a second up on his sector 2. As he now heads through what is a very short sector 3, down the casino straight, and in towards the final couple of corners, into 12 and into 13, through the World Champions on his final qualifying lap. Now what can the Turk do as he crosses the line? He goes to the top, a 1 minute 9.765. Marginal improvements to take him to the top of the timing sheets. Lazar has made a mistake or been involved in something, as Kraken also is done in this session. I don't know if Maldi has validated, so only P7, Racer Boy and Kraken is both ahead of him, so not ideal there. Todd's validated, so yeah. KS, I think if KS is will be the final car across the line now. He's on a sole lap as well, and it's invalidated, so that is your grid for this qualifying, as we're just waiting on the 2 cars coming back towards the pit lane, of course. But yeah, Envy, the Turk, having had to retire for his own reasons last time out in Austria, is making his impressions with Keeson alongside him on the front row. So the Turk and the Canadian sharing the front row. Canadian fans in the grandstands go absolutely wild for that one. As much as what I can really do in terms of being sort of a bit more sort of higher notes. Higher notes are not currently a thing for me. Let's just say that much. If they weren't anyway. But he's waiting on two cars coming into the pits, or waiting for one car to retire, and there we go. So Anvi is your pole position time, or pole position driver. 1 minute 9.7, 23 thousandths quicker than Keeson, who will join him alongside the front row, the Canadian. Pierre in third, alongside Lazar in fourth. Third and fourth, 1/10 covering those two. Then it was Racer Boy and Cricket is in sixth. Maldi in seventh, with Todd in eighth. KS and Trillo round out the top 10. Charlie in 11th, EFC Alonso in 12th. Definite Saint 2 seems to be struggling a little bit to get lap times on the board, is in 13th, Kaylee in 14th, and Jam, obviously we've seen on his first run, decided that he did not want to have four wheels on his car, and the car was ended up not being, it will end up in the Wall of Champions. The only victim in this in the qualifying session. I wonder if there will be more of that within the race itself, we'll have to see. 35 laps of racing ahead for the drivers. And hey, happy with pole position. I can totally understand that. It's something I've not experienced in a very long time myself in terms of league racing. It's I don't think I've been on pole. I don't think I've had a pole position since I think F1, F1, F2, Formula 1 2000, well F1 2011, no 2011, 2021. I do believe 2021, 20 or 2021 is the last time I believe I had pole position time. In terms of that. Anyway, drivers are getting themselves readied up. But if you bear with me for just a moment, because I don't think you probably want to hear what I need to do, so delete it for the certain thing. Needs or must. Right, that's a little better. Not much, but it's a little better. Anyway, tires on your screen. So, top two on the medium compound tires. I'm moving my mic a little bit closer. There we go. Should be a little bit better. So, top two on the mediums. Pierre and Lazar behind. Have opted for the hards. Racer Boy on the mediums. Cricket has opted for hards. Maldi on mediums. Todd on hards. Yes, on mediums. Then it's Prillo and Charlie. They're both on hards, as well as EFC Alonso. Then it's Saint on mediums. Kaylee's on the hard compound tires, and then Jamo at the rear of the field is on the mediums as well. Anyway, as we're coming back towards the end of the formation lap, that's pretty much one of the quickest formation laps, along with Austria, as the cars get to warming up tyres, as we come back towards the formation of the grid, with the Turk of Anri on pole, Keeson alongside, and the very quick Pierre just behind them, and some other names which could surprise in the background just behind. And let's just see, there's a little bit of aim there to the right hand side. It's obviously very clearly aimed in the direction of keeping hold of pole position. Anyway, We are going to be getting underway racing when the cars are back and everyone is back on the off the formation lap. Indeed we are, as it's going to be 5 red lights coming on here in the Canadian Grand Prix by the racing by the St Lawrence River, and we are away for 35 laps of racing. Who will keep it between the white lines? You will have to see, because I haven't even mentioned about that yet. LDL, that's Racer Boy and Kraken is going side by side in the pursuit for P5. It's still side by side between the two of them, and it could cost them a little bit of time if they head through on this first lap, heading through towards the end of the first sector split. Side by side they still go. Racer Boy does keep hold of the position for the moment. Maldi also in that battle as well for what is currently P5 on this first racing lap, of course. And then you've got the other Red Bull of Todd just behind as well. So Red Bull with 2 drivers for the first time in a very long time. That is Cayley, I believe. Nope, that was EFC Alonso having a little bit of a wobble, and I believe he's probably got some damage, considering I saw the angle he was that Haas was going in the wall at. That definitely probably was some damage on that car. He's kept going though, so fair enough. Good job there. Pierre looks like he's keeping a good job holding on to the back of Zlazar in his pursuit of P3. The Frenchman keeping on the back of the Mexican, as they're heading now for the first time down the Casino Straight towards 12 and 13 into the Wall of Champions for the first time. Going to be important to get a good run through there, as it's going to be incredibly important, as Zlazar is going to be incredibly close to making a move here and potentially on keys, and one of the home favourites here, obviously with maybe a bit more pressure on his shoulders than usual, as Charlie and Cayley swapping up positions a little bit further back in P13 and 14. Of course, no surprise. UFC Alonso is into the pits after just 1 lap of racing with that damage to his front wing. As I say, we've got the racing action going on all over this place at the moment. Looks like Todd's got a little bit of a gap, and that's kind of the concern, as DRS is already going to be enabled, of course, and be about to try and break himself at 1 second. Looks like that's going to be a side by side, as Racer Boy thinks about going up the inside. One of the other Canadians in this race, as Racer Boy tries to go side by side with Pierre round the outside towards the the hairpin, the Rolex hairpin. Going round the outside. If he can make that work, that's going to be a good move. He can pull that one off. Will he have DRS though, or was the car behind of it? Obviously, Kraken lost position to Maldi as well in all of that. So the first of these Cash Up RB drivers is down to the outside. Goes Racer Boy trying to go round the outside of Zlazar. That's going to cost him time. Zlazar fell out of that 1 second. Massive slide as they come out of the Quebec ball, turn 13. And it's going to be position 3 for Racer Boy, as Pierre is also making a move on Zlazar as well. So third, there's a little bit of contact there. I'm not sure who that was. I think that was potentially, that was Jam was currently up to P6, so considering where he was in qualifying in a wall missing a wheel, that's not a bad start for the two the Visa Cash Up RB driver up in P6, doing a good job so far, as Pierre still continues to battle away with Racer Boy, as Pierre is really trying to put on the pressure. It'll be interesting to see how long it is before the track limits start playing a factor in this race, because this is something I haven't mentioned at all yet. Something you notice in qualifying, there are a few people weren't validating their laps very easily. That is because the track limits around here are a bit as lenient as Austria. So that pretty much tells you everything I think you need to know about it. But the fact that I think I mentioned this previously when I think I was doing Austria potentially, the fact that this is probably one of the other bad tracks for picking up a lot of penalties very easily, as the Red Bull tries to get up here in these pursuits for P4, but has to remain behind the Greek driver, behind the Frenchman, as I believe that's Zlazar into the pits for damage. I believe Cayley's also in the pits for damage as well, so I believe, because of the closeness of the walls, I think there probably most likely will be a safety car deployed at some point in this race, and there is your first penalty of the race, going to KS outgoing, picking up the dubious owners of the first penalty of the race for track limits. You're going to see that a lot within these 35 laps, because yeah, it is quite bad around here. As we're going to board a little bit further back with Todd, see what's going on here between these two, between Maldi and Todd here. Looks like the Dutchman trying to make the move, of course, with the trusted Max Verstappen helmet, bringing him the luck of all of the orange fans. grandstands. Looks like we've had change of position for the lead. That's obviously DRS assisted, of course. And loses out on the position. Obviously, it is a double DRS detection zone, so if you get it for that zone, you also get it for the next one as well. So it's if you get one for the hairpin, the white line for the hairpin, that is the one detection zone which takes you down the casino straight and past the Wall of Champions as well. So you basically effectively you've made your overtake, and you then get a chance to try and pull away from the driver behind you, because they do not have the addition of the letterbox on the back being open at that point. See, very close in this midfield. There's a little bit. That's a yellow flag. I believe that might well be an Aston Martin. That's KS, I think, having a little bit of a moment. I think that's out of, what corner was that out of there? Just out of interest. That was coming out of, I believe, turn 7. He's had that moment. Unfortunate there for him. Turn 6, turn 7 complex. We've got change of position is just ahead. You can, well, maybe see just ahead as it's absolute chaos. What's going on here is he's back behind Anvie once again. This is going to be effectively a DRS swap here, a swapping train here between these drivers. They want to kind of pull away here from the cars behind, and Crick is going to try and pull himself back in again. And as I say, this genuinely could be a place of don't look away from your screens, because I think you will. This is going to be one hell of a race if this keeps up through the entire thing. Because all these drivers putting on 100% of their efforts here around this circuit Gilles Villeneuve. That's something to say. Penalties starting to mount up for a few drivers, as a few drivers have been in the pits for repairs, of course. 13th, 14th, and 15th. If you are just shutting in or just checking into the race. 6 laps in, everyone's still running at the moment. 15 drivers contesting this race, of course. Anvie currently leads, but he's about to probably lose the lead of the Grand Prix. Ran the outside once again. He's probably realising that it's a smart idea to stay behind, as it appears the first one, as well as Jamal falling very quickly behind Pierre, the first of the top 3 to pick up a penalty. As he looks like he's going to try and go side by side here with Anvie, try and put the Turk under pressure. But no dice, as the Turk keeps his cool and keeps the position, of course. In this case, Cricket now has a bit of gap behind him, as Jamal's going to have a little bit of pressure from Racer Boy behind. The Alpine driver, who's trying to put the pressure on in the battle there a little bit further back for position number 5. As we head down the second of the 2 DRS straights. Heading down towards the hairpin once again at the turn 10 complex, and once again Anvie, I think, is going for the move once again. It looks like could be 2 positions lost here for Keeson. Keeson out a little bit out of range there. That's kind of put him in a little bit of trouble there, as he's now going to be under pressure from the Red Bull. Oh, Cricket is on board the Red Bull driver, not to be confused with RB. As down the inside, that's going to be a yellow flag, and I think once again, I think one of the Haas is not having a good day so far, as Anvie gets Pierre takes the lead of the Grand Prix, of course, carrying that penalty. Obviously, we know that Billy has retired from the Grand Prix, and the virtual safety car has been deployed. So drivers will have to stick to the delta, and if this is out for what might well be the entire lap, the safety car will actually be getting deployed, because I can see it coming out onto the track, and that's how easy it is with how close the walls are. But yeah, as let's just say that now the drivers have a chance. Those on the mediums can go on to the hards and potentially go towards the end of the Grand Prix, and those on the hards kind of leaves them in a bit of a sticky wicket situation here, because they've now got to go ahead and probably put in a set of mediums, and that is a very long way to go, and I don't think a set of mediums will take you all the way to the end of the Grand Prix from here, even if they extra 3 laps. Most likely we're going to have under safety car because of the field spread. I don't think it's going to be a difficult one for that one to be pulled off, if you want to do that with the mediums, because we'll actually have a look, see if Pierre decides he wants to come in. what's the Frenchman going to do here? His teammate down in 4th. I don't believe there's any reason, there's not a reason for Keeson to come into the pits because he's on the mediums. Is Pierre coming in? No, he's carrying on, as I thought. I think he's also carrying on as well. 2 hard runners deducting to carry on. Everyone else that was on the mediums is boxing. Todd's also carrying on as well, so the Red Bull now in 2nd and 3rd. And the on to the hards. Probably be hard tyres all round unless there is another safety car deployed. Virtual is still out, of course, until we get to the safety car, in which case it will appear, and then probably just sit there for as long as until there's another yellow flag once again, of course. So the race leader, or rather there was the race leader, as Charles picked up a drive-through for speeding under the safety car. So he'll have to serve that under green flag racing conditions, so his race might well be a little bit then unless there is another safety car at some point after that. But Pierre is going to lead the Grand Prix, and he's got another drive-through for speeding under the safety car. He's got 2 of them, so he's not managed to keep himself within the delta there. So that's 2 he's got to serve in 3 laps once the safety car comes in. So that's pretty much double the pain, and I think, yeah, that could mean he might well get lapped once we go racing once again. Usually how short the racetrack actually is around here. As obviously, top 4, not yet boxed, that being Pierre, Todd and Prillo, all still out on the track, having not decided not to box. Probably thinking that they can maybe do that, maybe thinking there might well be another safety car at some point, a little bit further down the road, and taking advantage of it then, of course, as and be the first of the hard runners. Excuse me. First of the hard runners, of course, is looking to get past these hard runners already not yet. Well, hard runners have not yet boxed, of course, as soon as possible. Put a few cars between himself and Keeson. As so, your order. We're under safety car conditions at the moment. Lap 10, 1 retirement of the race, of course. That is, unfortunately, for Kaylee. Once again, not the most ideal of race starts, of course, in this occasion. As so it was not doing too bad in qualifying, but the race did not pan out as it was for the Haas driver. Only 1 Haas driver left in the field. That being usually Alonso, who has been given a little bit of a lifeline here in 13th. So a little bit of time to recover positions and work way forward. Anyway, while we are under safety conditions, still waiting for drivers to catch up. And a few drivers on your screen, that's few penalties on the screen. That is your changes of position. Of course, Jamo's up the most, he's up 7. Then it's Prillo currently up 6, he's not yet boxed, of course. Then it's Todd, who's up 5. And then it's shared between Caracas and Saint, who are up 4 apiece. And Pierre is up 2, and that is your biggest winners. Your biggest losers, of course, is also down 6. And then it is a shared one between Maldi, Anvi, and Keeson. Obviously, we know those drivers boxed. I believe Maldi potentially could have been involved in a scuffle and towards turn at number 1, I do believe. Then it is PS and Charlie down 3. And then it's races we're currently down 2. And currently it's down 1 at least the FC currently. 2 stops for a couple of drivers, those who had to come in early. And so we're now going to see, I think everyone is now back in the train, so we're going to be back underway racing at the end of this lap. Lap number 11 into lap number 12 is when the racing will resume. Pierre will, at the end of this lap, take the reins of the safety car until we go to green flag racing once again. And it's going to be interesting to see how the drivers behind respond, because obviously, how long will, let's say, Todd and Prillo in 3rd and 4th be able to hold off Andy in the Mercedes for? Be an interesting one to see. But we are going to be underway racing. The lights on the safety car go off. Here will now be the safety car restart, and he can decide on how fast or slow this restart is going to be. He doesn't want to be too close to the safety car because he will be electronically speed limited if you're not careful. It's lap 11 on to lap number 12. We're going to be underway racing once again at nearby the St Lawrence River on what is effectively a man-made piece of land for this racetrack, named and christened at some point, let's say, by the late and great Gilles Villeneuve. And away we go once again. We are underway racing on lap number 12 here in STB Tier 3 as Cricket looks to be holding position. Pirlo and Todd can go to battle behind, and this is going to mean that this is not ideal for Pirlo. Zanvi gets 2 positions potentially. So he tries to go up the inside the Turk, though, thinking wisely of that one. That's definitely, I think that door was very firmly going to get shut there by Pirlo. He's going to try and go down the inside once again, though does decide not to go for it. That is Giamo, I think, who's down positions. Raceboy's picked up a 10-second penalty for a collision with Giamo, so something's obviously happened back there between the two of them, as Pirlo already has fell out of the range, as Todd is also struggling a little bit as Kiesen's putting the other Red Bull, the second Red Bull, under pressure. We got a yellow flag once again, of course. That looks like that's KS, who's once again had a little bit of a moment. Kiesen got position on Todd. Side by side they go, the Dutchman versus the Canadian. Who will come out on top? It's going to be 11 lap hold hards versus 3 lap hold hards, and Todd, as I say, doesn't want to give up position yet, so this is going to cost him a little bit of time. It's going to be inside line, but that's quite a tight line there from Kiesen. Kiesen decides to back out wisely at the end of all of that. Zanvi and Pirlo finally gets a move done on Pirlo, the Italian, having to cede the position from the Mercedes driver. The Turk now go after the top 3 as Cricket looks to try and gain the lead from Pierre a little bit further up. Kiesen now continues his march through as he has his fellow countrymen, not in the same team of course, but still the same in terms of fellow countrymen. So 6th and 7th for the 2 Canadians, as here comes Kiesen trying to make a move down the inside with Todd. Todd, as I say, he's putting up a stern defence here as the Dutchman, as I believe there's been a migrating host issue. Maldi has left the session, so I'll see if I can get him back in real quick. Bear with me. Which means I think hosting may have gone to me, which means hopefully this holds up. I think his game may have just completely crashed. Good. Game. There we go. Right, Racer Boy and Kiesen go side by side. Meanwhile, just coming back to the action. Found the outside from Racer Boy. He likes that outside line. He's liking that line there to go through. Is Todd now trying to once again have a go at Pirlo here. If you were looking at that and you didn't actually think about that, as it's qualified for not actually serving the drive-throughs for Charlie, that's not ideal. Yep, is Todd a little bit out of shape. That's going to allow side by side. Help the race boy round the outside once again. He's liking the outside moves. He's surprising people as the Alpine driver and his teammate now. I don't think Pirlo's going to fight this too much, considering it's teammates. Unless he feels like the case of actually fighting and causing peaceful violence sort of thing. Nope, nothing really to be said there. As I think Maldi is all sorted. Bear with me just a moment, it's kicked me a party again. Why does it do that? Anyway. Right, that's all sorted out. As now we are back underway racing. As I say, we're still is lap 14 and 35. We're about half race distance, or coming up to half race distance, of course. As Cricket holds on to position from Pierre. Pierre's going to have DRS. I think Cricket has had the DRS as Charlie has left the session. So not the best days for the Ferrari driver, unfortunately. Picked up 2 drive-throughs and just opted not to serve any of them. So that's a real unfortunate one there for the 2 of them, as Pierre is now trying to get the position back here on the leading Red Bull at the moment. We've got Anvi, who's also trying to gain ground behind. He's 2.5 seconds behind at the moment. Not making as much ground as I was thinking he was going to make at the moment. got a great little battle going for fourth at the moment. Pirlo holding back, I think, 2 cars. There's an overtake move being made there between the 2 of them. Yeah, we'll leave it on edge there. I'll come back to that battle for 4th position in just a little bit, because that looks like a tasty battle there, all the way from 5th position or 4th position all the way down to position number 9 there. And Pierre is going to try and make a move here with the double DRS. It's going to be interesting to see. Is there going to be a move made potentially? Go on board with Cricket is looking back at the rear wing, looking back at Pierre, as Pierre's going to be using a little bit of battery here. As you can see him getting closer and closer. Cricket is not really defending the inside there, and that's going to be a move done and dusted down the inside. And AFC Alonso now picking up a penalty himself for his troubles. I think he already had the there. But we'll go to that little battle a little bit further back and see what's going on in the little tussle for what is currently position number 4. That's a that's a little bit clumsy there from Lazar. I do think he's just clipped he's clipped Todd, and Todd's just spun round, unfortunately. Maybe there'll be something said about that in Stewards afterwards. The McLaren driver potentially at fault for that one. Stewards will have to make their decisions, of course, and that I don't have any sort of say on that one. It's Keeson is going to go side by side with Prillo as round the outside he goes, looking to make sure he keeps it on the white lines, or pretty much what you can get away with without picking up warnings, of course. As over half race distance, we now head 16 of 35 to DNF and a DSQ are your only 2 notables. That's 2 drivers no longer in the race, that being Cayley, who DNF'd, and obviously Charlie, who did not serve either of the 2 drive-thrus that he had. So as we're now heading through, Keeson does keep hold of his position. Prillo is now going to be coming under pressure from AFC Alonso, and that is a car on the wall in the background. I'm not sure which one that one was. That was Lazar, I think, who's had a little bit of a moment, and I think he's probably picked up damage, most likely, because he's dropping down positions by the wayside. So unfortunate there. This track and the curbs are catching a few drivers out on this occasion, and that sort of big battle that was going on. There's Kiss picking a 10-second penalty, and we got another safety car deployed. So for those who hadn't pitted, that being Pierre and Cricket, that's them effectively got a free pit stop, as well as Prillo as well, which might well be, it could be a little crumb of comfort to Todd, who's obviously had the spin that happened, of course, not really through fault of his own, of course. What can you do about it when you end up having being clipped in the rear by another car? It's kind of like the game's physics to then decide, nope, you're going round. You don't get a choice in the matter, unfortunately. Let's see, I think we will see probably Pierre and Cricket both pit now. Yes, they are both indeed pitting, and he carries on, of course. He's not long been on those hards. So Pierre and Cricket now are going to be on the medium compound tyres between the 2 of them. Pirlo picks up a drive-through for speeding under the safety car, so that's going to be... There's been a few drivers fall foul of that one now, the Delta. The Delta's unprofessional, unpredictable. That was the word I was looking for. And really, that does sometimes end up being the case. As Lazar's also picked up one as well, so I wonder if he's done that while trying to go into the pit lane. So it's not ideal. But as I say, Pierre, he will need to make use of these mediums, because he's got that 3-second penalty he's got to carry, whereas the car behind him, obviously the Red Bull driver of Cricket, the Greek, has not got a penalty, as I believe, yes, I thought we were at half distance. I think this is now half distance, so this is safety car number 2, I believe. Safety car number 2, so as I say, 2 people currently. As I say, I think that one might well have just been for a loss of front wing that time, because I don't see a car out of the Grand Prix. So yeah, as I say, hopefully, as I say, everyone is enjoying the racing action. We obviously on the Twitch channel and obviously on the YouTube channel, we have both Tier 1 and Tier 2 coverage from this Grand Prix. And let me just have a quick look while we are under what is what's the word I'm looking for here? Underneath where we're going to be in next week, because I think it's definitely an interesting one to what's going to happen. Alright, guy retired in the pit lane. Okay, fair enough. Internet was bad. Oh, okay, understandable. Understandable. So, next time out in the season for all the tiers, we will have we go from probably one of the quickest circuits to one of the slowest in terms of lap time, because we head from the St. Lawrence River here in Canada at the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve to the Marina Bay Circuit in Singapore next time out. So that is definitely going to be an interesting one to watch out for. Watch out for, yes, that was definitely what I was going for. Only 3 rounds left in the season, actually, looking at it. We head to Asia next, of course, and then we head over to the Central Americas for the home of tequila. Hopefully the drivers won't be drinking too much of that before the Grand Prix actually starts. Maybe afterwards, if they're celebrating victory or something of that similar nature. We'll be at Mexico, round 11, and then the final round of the season, as we're getting underway racing just now, will take us to the home of F1 racing, the airfield, the former airfield, otherwise known as Silverstone, for the finale. Anyway, we're about to get ourselves back underway here for what will be the racing action. As here we go. Again, looks like a good start from Anvi. He's caught out Keeson, as Keeson has been who picked up a penalty for his troubles as well on the restart, cutting the inside of the second part. That's the left hand. The right hand part can be cut. The left hand side that's on the second part by turn 13 cannot be cut. That one will just give you a warning or a penalty if you've already got one. As we're back underway racing once again here, as Pierre in third position now, trying to get himself past, as it really now is going to come down to who can now stay between the white lines and avoid those dreaded 3-second penalties now, because that's incredibly crucial. As that, I think Keeson's going to let him go. That's the wise decision there. Pierre going through to try and go and see if he can get him is Krakidis. Now Keeson's going to try and act like a bit of a rear buffer here, I do believe, for his teammate. A little bit of a wingman sort of tactic may well be going on here, although he almost went straight into the back of his own teammate and immediately loses the back end, so that throws that theory out the window as of immediately. But I don't think Keeson's going to be done with that one quite yet, as Krakidis keeps hold of, well, now gets hold of position number 3 as Maldi and Racerboy go side by side. Racerboy not managing to go around the outside that time as DRS gets enabled. Looks like we've got 2 cars in the pit lane. That's going to be serving drive-throughs, of course, for those. Pierre looking back at the front of the grid between the top 2. They've got a little bit of a gap to the cars behind. Both Cricketers as well. Keeson's got about 8 tenths. He seems to be a little bit he's struggling just a little bit to keep himself with that group. As Keeson's now fell at 1 second actually, so. He was just about hanging on, but he's now at that DRS, and now he's going to end up being the lead of head of a train if he's not careful, if he wants to get himself back in for this DRS zone, as Pierre continues to hound the back of Anvi. Obviously we know Anvi's on 12 lap hold hards, opted to stay out. Side by side almost between the Red Bull of Krakidis and Pierre, the Frenchman versus the Greek. I believe these two did battle in the Principality of Monaco as well, before Krakidis unfortunately had his disconnection, because I do believe Pierre was in the front row alongside the Greek Red Bull driver. As here goes Pierre to the inside. This should be a fairly easy move down the inside. This is for the fast lap 111.7. So far, I believe that thing will probably go down just a little bit, as now Pierre leads the way, and now Anvi, having had pole position, you could still be in a good place. We will have to see how that one all shapes up, of course. As Maldi and EFC Alonso going to battle behind in Sector 1. I think that's through 6 and 7. I do believe through there. Yep, through 6 and 7 that was. briefly as we're now heading through 8 and 9 complex. FC Alonso. That's an absolute. There's an absolute train going, and here's Curtis gets past Anvi. Anvi has managed to keep hold of that as Curtis has dropped out. And Maldi on the curb a little bit there. Got to be careful of that one. As that is a Keeson trying to make a move. EFC Alonso. EFC Alonso has managed to get into 4th position as Keeson is going to try and make a move back down the inside. Roared on back from the crowd to try and make that overtake work on the Haas car in front, the only Haas remaining in this Grand Prix, of course. The teammate Kaylee out very early as LDL Raceboy and Maldi once again go side by side. These two have had a little bit of fisticuffs today between the two of them, or from what I can see anyway, as we're on lap number 23 of 35. I tell you, this race can absolutely fly by. I mean, I'm not sure if we'll be saying the same thing for Singapore next week, considering the absolute sweat that you do need for Singapore and the sort of extra concentration. Don't be surprised to see a few safety cars around there as well. A few lizards as well, as KS has retired and safety car is immediately redeployed. So chance for a few of the drivers on the hards to perhaps pit. Zambi now decides to get themselves underneath the delta once again. Safety car number 3, KS, is out of the Grand Prix. The Aston Martin drivers' race comes to an end after 23 laps of racing for him. Unfortunately, not quite making it to the end, as no chance for everyone to catch up. As I say, that's the thing that ends up happening here, as Anby goes into the pit lane as per what I suspected. Someone's taking a brake marker for the pit lane entry, so that's fun. Also in the box as well. It's going to be mediums, I think, for both these drivers if they have a set of mediums to use. Depends on what allocation, of course, they went for. Yeah, indeed, mediums for both. And away they go. Anvi coming out in 8th position. And I think that should be all good. Unless anyone is no, everyone behind is indeed boxing. So that will mean that it's going to be 8th position and 9th position. So fresh tyres for those drivers, the Turk and the Canadian. So looking good for the moment, as I say. I mean, looking good at the moment. And our drivers to say looking good at the moment is correct with as I say, 6 lap old tyres. Those drivers will not be anyone who boxed in the last safety car will most likely be staying out, as Lazar has opted to go into the pits for a set of softs. Interesting enough, that's a bold call, if I may well say so. Although I could be completely wrong. He could be a tyre whisperer for all I know. He does have the same flag as the person who used to be the tyre whisperer, if you know. Mexican flag and drives in a Red Bull. So I think, to be honest, you don't need more hints than that. It's fairly obvious. The former Minister of Mexican Minister of Defence. Not in the grit car, of course, he's in a McLaren, but I do believe, actually, thinking about it, I do believe, I'm not sure, I could be 100% wrong, I'm just going to have a quick check of this, actually, just to make sure, 100%, like, make sure I'm getting this 100% right. So, tab real quick, because I'm going to check something. I was correct. He is indeed. That is indeed correct. Yeah. There is actually another one who's currently racing over races, I believe, for Arrow McLaren. So actually, there is actually, yeah. Otherwise, no, that driver, of course, being Pato Ward. I don't know why I thought for some reason that he wasn't. I just wasn't 100% sure if that was entirely my judgment or if that was actually the case. But as we're now, as I say, heading into the 25 laps out of 35, so we've got 10 to go here in the Grand Prix. So we'll see how the racing action unfolds as the action will be getting underway fairly soon. We'll be interested to see if this is a little bit further back, see if that resumes or if that they've got it as a safety car in this lap. Here is going to try and see if he can get himself away. Perhaps opting to go. We'll see if he can bog the car behind down with a lower gear and then take off, because that does actually work quite well. Safety car restarts. He's limbering himself up, is the Frenchman, to get himself back underway. Racing here, 10 laps to go in this Grand Prix. It will be 9 once they go across the line to start lap number 26, and away we go. Here hasn't really caught anyone out this time, but a little bit caught out by EFC Alonso behind, and looking to try and get past as Maldi is going to try and get past Russo Boy as they go past in towards turn number 1. The dive bomb of centuries down the inside does pick up a penalty for his troubles, but that is quite the dive bomb. It does make it work. So, as I say, from Aldi, good job there. Managed to get the move done. And I think he just caught Razor Boy like massively out, and his teammate Jamal trying to recover his way through. And I think that's a little bit more, that's a little bit too over exuberant there from Jamal, unfortunately. As now there's absolute chaos as Anby is now trying to get through. Keesan's round the outside of the that's going to be a penalty there, as Keesan, I think he's made a little bit of contact there. Side by side, Noah's Ark, as we're heading through. That's Slazar as well. Slazar behind the Mexican, trying to make his way through. Jamal trying to go round the outside there. I think he's managed to get that move done there, as Slazar's going to get the move done round the outside. That's a little bit of curb bunny hopping there from Keesan. I think he's out of the position. A little bit, that's a yellow flag, so I think there must have been some contact in there as Racer Boy and Jamal go side by side a little bit further ahead in the battle for what's currently P5. Racer Boy really, as they say, is that he's getting himself stuck in. He's not really the one for using DRS trains. Oh, that's just clumsy. That is just very clumsy there from Racer Boy. Unfortunately, he seems to have got stuck. I'm not sure about that one. As Maldi and EFC Alonso go side by side through first sector as they come into 6 and 7. As EFC Alonso. Why is that hard to say? I don't know why. My brain is just trying to say something too quickly, and the brain's just going, no, I'm not assisting you with that. Anyway, for a bit the way my brain sometimes just doesn't cooperate with me. As Aldi now trying to get his way back through. A little bit of contact. I wonder if he's perhaps sustained some damage, or if there's some damage in the back of that Haas as a result. Who knows? So Maldi's going to try and gain the position here, as you're going to see, very close. Double DRS, so even if he doesn't get the job done now, he will get it done. You'll see that card disappear and reappear in front, as you see Alonso loses out on the position to Maldi. However, Maldi's going to have that double DRS. Decides not to use it. A little bit of squeeze. Just enough spaces left. EFC Alonso manages to keep his Salazar and Anvi side by side. The Turk versus the Mexican. Round the outside on the soft compound tyres. Salazar trying to make his way, make that work round the outside, but was not able to do it. And Anvi now falls out of that DRS range for the moment. 28 of 35. We're coming up on near enough the the quarters of this Grand Prix, and once again it's absolutely just taken off in terms of the race and in terms of the action that's unfolding. It's a little bit further back as well, still battling on for the lead going on. Prillo is a little bit further back in his own little 2-car battle with Todd here for position at number 8 in the moment. Todd obviously on a bit older tyres, and well, obviously we know he did get spun a little bit earlier in the Grand Prix by the car currently in 6th position. We don't know if there was any more intent to that one or not, if it was accidental. Prillo round the outside, as I say. It's been a popular spot, that outside move, with Maldi picking up yet another penalty for his troubles with the track limits. As I say, I think there might well again be some words said about this coming the end of this race, because I think a few people will not be best impressed with some driving. I haven't seen too much of it, but as I say, it's always nice, as I say, if you can sort of keep it clean. In a sense. The one sort of most important thing is really about league racing. It's probably not to put your fellow league racer into a position of peril, sort of thing, unless you're in the F1 esports side of things, which for some reason they do that. Anyway, enough bashing on certain esports drivers or people trying to get into esports. Is there a Maldi? Oh my word! I'm amazed that Cash App is still in this race, because that was a massive slide, and all it did was take off one entire side of his front wing. Rather than deciding to, it was going to take a left-hand side wheel, as Prill is also now going to get through as well. As it looks like there's been a change of position for P1, but Pierre is trying to come back. I think correctly is with the DRS that time round. As we're on 5 to go here, I'll be into the box for a set of soft compound tyres, and he may well drop out of the top 10, unfortunately. The fringes of it. Pierre still trying to get past. We're going to put penalties on the screen actually, just for a moment. And Malvi has retired from the Grand Prix, unfortunately. So his race is done. And, well, this gives a chance for a certain other driver to actually pick up his first points, I do believe. Well, I don't see, because I don't think Saint has picked up penalties, or picked up points, rather. Salazar goes side by side with the EFC Alonso, and realize the EFC Alonso, the EFC Alonso behind is carrying 12 seconds of penalties. Keeson is getting the good old-fashioned squeeze down and towards the hairpin, turn 10, but that's Keeson having absolutely none of it. He's like, no, I don't think you're going to do that, eh? Yes, that is my terrible way of doing a Canadian accent. And yes, that one can absolutely be slaughtered for that, because it was terrible. It sounds a lot better when you're not recording. As Pierre's still trying to keep hold of position, well, Pierre's got still behind for the moment. As we're now on 4 to go here in this Grand Prix. We're currently on board with the battle for currently position number 3. So that was Lazar, the Mexican, holding on to position from Anvi. Obviously we know Anvi picked up the penalty, I think, trying to avoid making contact earlier on as AFC Alonso, and picks up another penalty. That's 15 seconds. He's only going to fall behind Prillo. Oh, that's a little bit of contact. I think Andy's waiting. I think he's waiting for him. No, he's not. Oh, that's going to be, again, that's going to be something said. The Turk is a little bit of a bump in the rear of the McLaren there. I think that may well be saying a lot of potential words in another language. Oh my word! I think Slazar picked up some damage off that as well. I think he did. I don't know if he did pick up damage off that. No, he didn't. I think he was okay. And being Keeson, and he gets hold of position 3. Final spot on the podium. Keeson back down to 4th, also that extra penalty. As we're on 3 to go, the lap time is counting down. Oh, almost a synchronised spin there between Andy and Keeson. I think the penalty's back off screen so you can see, as I say. They're only on 8 lap old tyres. That must have been curb assisted, because that can't be tyre wear, not this early on. I don't think the tyres are quite that bad around here. So Pierre once again is going to say try and have another go down next cricket down the DRS. Move done. And into first position he goes again. And now, as I say, the DRS game is going to be the one that's played there. As EFC Alonso going side by side as EFC Alonso. He's picking up another penalty. Just so for legal limit, I believe on 100% it is 39 seconds of penalties. I think it's slightly less than that for 50% race distances. So yeah, as these two still continue to battle for supremacy at the head of the train. Of course, we know Cricketus will probably get the win on we know Pierre will win it on track, but we do know Cricketus will get this one. The 3-second time penalty for Pierre is taken into account, but Pierre, as I say, he's been incredibly consistent. That's the most important thing for your whole championship. It's basically being consistent. It's like being that sort of Prost figure. Only figuring out what you really have to push for. It's not having to do too much in terms of that. Let's just say that much. And I think he almost got him out of 1 second there. If he was closer, if he got another 10th, I think he could have done it. However, as I say, because they're on the same lap of tyres, it's just about who's dealing with the wear better at this point. Yeah, we'll come back to that in just a little bit. It looks like back to the battle for P3 currently is Anvi. I think he's in a less sort of secure position at the moment as Keeson once again tries to get himself back onto the podium, at least on track finishes. As the Canadian once again down Casino Straight and in towards 12 and 13, round the outside he goes. It's kind of not really any point to Andrew fighting. So whoever's behind us, there's no point to them fighting it. But that's a big mistake there from the Turkish driver. He's held on just. No, I thought he did. He's not. He's out of DRS, which means that's probably going to cost him a little bit. As Lazar's also still in a little bit of a tussle with the McLaren behind him. Or McLaren in front of him, that being Lazar, and EFC Alonso is pleased to continue their conquest of current P5 position. We obviously know that with no penalties will obviously come out on top. Exit Anby and Kiezen. Once again, we've had swappage of positions. These two are getting closer behind actually, so this could be a four-way battle actually for the final spot on the podium. Of course, penalties will be taken into account come the end of this, but as we're on to the penultimate lap. Lap 34-35 next time round, when Pierre comes round to start on his final lap, which he's going to be starting on fairly soon. That's going to be the lap number 35 and 35, the final time around. Final 3 zones of the DRS is where it's going to matter as to who's going to get it. And the victory, obviously we know that Practice is not going to do too much stupid. Lazar's going to pick up a penalty as well, so we will still finish ahead. Cards around do have more, but it has dropped him back a little bit. But it's going to be crucial now to see how Cricketis deals with his final lap. Does he? He's going to have to. He has to stay within that 1 second, of course. But does he hold back or does he try and go for it? Because obviously Pierre could try and get that penalty removed, but he's dropped back out of 1 second. He will only have 1 DRS zone, but I don't think he's going to have enough. I think the Greek driver has made a few mistakes on this final lap, and this could cost him positions unless he can gain the ground back. Kiezen and Anby continuing their battle for position 3 behind as well, the final spot on the podium. I do think Anby is going to get that final spot on the podium, most likely the Turk, as the Greek driver now, as we head through towards what will be for the final time, heading down Casino Straight and heading into 12 and 13 and through the Wall of Champions for what will be the final time. No one hits the wall between these two. It's going to be close as they try to make it work towards the line, but it's going to be Pierre who comes across the line to win on track. But Cricketis will win the Grand Prix once penalties are taken into account. Anby will bring it home in P3. Kiezen will bring it home in P4. So second and fourth, Lazar finishes just 0.36 behind Kiezen in the battle for 4th position. So very close between those two, and I think Pirlo is going to jump EFC Alonso. Rest of the field, Todd coming home in 8th. Racer Boy in the end, even though he made some amazing moves around the outside and probably pissed a few people off, comes home in 9th. 1 point is all that RB are going to leave with today, unfortunately. And then finally coming across the line with, unfortunately, so no points, but oh, that's an interesting line across the bumps there from Saint. And across the line he goes for the final position of 11th. And that is your run for the Grand Prix. Because, yeah, that is. So, Jamel's going to pick up driver of the day. Unfortunately for me, he's probably not going to get that. I think that driver of the day award, I think that's going to go Cricketis on his return. The Greek driver doing a great job on race management and keeping a cool head. That was kind of the most important thing, keeping yourself out of trouble, and he's won a Grand Prix as a result of that, due to obviously penalties count back come the end of the Grand Prix. But as I say, alongside him on that is obviously the Williams and the obviously Andy finished up the podium. As I say, the podium celebrations as the drivers spray the champagne. It is Cricketis who wins, the Greek driver from Pierre, who finishes in P2, and Anvi from pole position, not too bad, is P3 for the Turk. Oh, just off the podium. It is when the rest of the points it is Kiezen in P4, is Lazar in P5, Pirlo in P6, Alonso in 7th, Todd in 8th, Racer Boy in 9th, and in 10th, and the final point is going to go to Jamal, who got fastest lap, so that's 2 points for him. Saint in 11th, and then your DNFs was Maldi, KS, Kaylee, and Charlie, who was DSQ'd but has been classed as DNF there. Anyway, that is your run for that. This race will be up on YouTube in a few days, most likely, and the action will be resumed for the third from final round at the Marina Bay Street Circuit in Singapore. Obviously, a very much changed Singapore from last year, of course, which was shortened down a few corners. But nevertheless, it is going to be a much bigger challenge for the drivers, with potentially some rain if it's involved in all that, which could spice that race up if it does come to it. Anyway, that will be your coverage here for today for STB Tier 3. Tier 1 will be back on Monday, Tier 2 on Tuesday, and then I will be back next week on Wednesday with Tier 3. So, until we come back from the streets of Singapore next time round, it is goodbye from me.